Today is Tuesday, February 21st, 2023. I call this regular meeting to order at 6:31 p.m. Pledge of Allegiance, led by Councilmember Chen.
This flag, read after me. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
Clerk, roll call, please.
Mayor Ding.
Here.
Vice Mayor Harrington.
Here.
Councilmember Chan. Councilmember Menchaca.
Here.
Councilmember.
Here.
Closing section report. Our city attorney will be now give the closing section report from the special meeting held on early tonight.
Certainly, Mr. Mayor. The City Council met in closed session to discuss real property negotiations for the property located at 261 South Mission Drive in San Gabriel. The City Council received a report from the negotiator, City Manager Lazaretto, and Community Development Director Cervantes. No reportable action took place. Mr. Mayor, that concludes the report.
Thank you. We will now have some announcement from our Chief City Clerk.
Tonight's meeting is live streamed on Cable Channel 3 and our online platforms. If you wish to address the City Council during tonight's meeting, we request that you please complete a speaker's card and hand it to the clerk. When speaking, please state your name for the record. If you wish to be added to the distribution list to receive City Council agendas, please email your request to cityclerk@sgch.org.
Okay. Approve the of agenda order. Are there any objection to the agenda order? I hear none. Its agenda order is approved. Next item, please.
Presentation, introduction of police officers. The presentation will be made by Interim Police Chief Nakamura.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the City Council. Today is a great night. It's one of the more fun stuff I get to do as interim police chief. And you all understand that there is a systemic struggle with recruiting qualified police officers all across this nation. And I think you'll be very happy with the 4 young police officers that we have on my left here. And I say young because they're half my age, so it makes me feel old. But with further ado, I will start with our first police officer. Our first police officer is Officer Jason Rios Vega. Officer Jason Rios Vega was born and raised in Anaheim, California. He's currently 25 years old. In 2020, he graduated from the California State University, Fullerton, with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Sociology and Human Services. Jason was a police explorer for 6 years with the Buena Park Police Department and also worked for the Cal State Fullerton Police Department while in college, where he was a community service officer. Prior to the police academy, he worked in the mental health field as a rehabilitation specialist and conducted psychiatric assessments of homeless individuals needing mental health services. Additionally, he is bilingual in Spanish, so his experience and skills will definitely be a benefit to our San Gabriel community. During his free time, he likes to work out, watch baseball, football, and travel with his family and girlfriend. Pinning Officer Vega tonight is going to be his mother, Josefina Vega, and his sister, Zoma Apodaca. Hope I didn't butcher that. His other sister, Sahuli Nunes, is also present here tonight for this pinning ceremony. All right. All right, next we have Officer Josue Chu. Officer Josue Chu is 28 years old and is son to Sandra Paez and Sergio Chu. Josue was raised in Orange County, California, and is the oldest of 3 children. He has 2 younger sisters, Esther and Rebecca. After graduating from high school, Josue enlisted in the United States Army Corps and was an infantry rifleman with the 2nd Battalion, 3rd Marines Division. He served 2 deployments overseas, and after a 4-year enlistment, he came back to the States and enrolled in college. Thank you very much for your service. Josue graduated from California State University, Fullerton, and earned his Bachelor of Science degree in Criminal Justice. Josue decided to enter law enforcement at the end of his college career. We then enrolled and completed the Rio Hondo Police Academy. Josue is also bilingual in Spanish, which is an important skill and additional resource to service our community. Josue wanted to relate to everyone that he is very grateful for being hired with us and being able to be part of the San Gabriel family. On a personal note, I wanted to commend both Officer Vega and Josue Chu. They were both classmates at the Rio Hondo Police Academy, Class 213. And I had the privilege and honor to be one of their instructors at the academy. So I've seen their struggles for the past 6 months where they worked really hard to graduate not only from the police academy, but to enter our police department's field training program. So it's almost like a proud father moment for both of them, seeing how these young men has grown into great police officers, and I hope to keep you guys safe for the remaining of your career. Pitting Officer Josue Chu tonight is going to be his mother, Sandra Paez. I guess you guys like me so much you wanted to work for me, huh? All right, cool. All right, next we have Officer Aaron Luong. Officer Aaron Luong was born in 1991 in Los Angeles, California to James and Katie Luong. Aaron was raised in Alhambra and attended the schools in the district, ultimately graduating from Alhambra High School. From there, he received his Associates of Arts degree in, From there, he received his Associates of Arts degree in Criminal Justice from Pasadena City College and started to research law enforcement agencies as a career. Aaron then became a police explorer for the California Highway Patrol and also worked part-time as a police cadet for the Arcadia Police Department. In 2015, Aaron became a CHP officer and proudly served the public in the San Gabriel Valley. Aaron comes from a family with a long history of people serving in law enforcement, including his brothers and his wife, Crystal, who has been happily married for the past year. Outside of his career, Aaron enjoys hiking and running long distances. Aaron is also bilingual, who is fluent in Cantonese Chinese, and he feels a deep connection with our community. Aaron wanted to let everybody know that he proudly serves with the department and the San Gabriel community. And on a personal note with Aaron, actually, he reminded me that we actually met several years ago. He came into our police department lobby, asked for a police patch, and of course I gave him one because he's a CHP police officer. Unbeknownst to me, I didn't know he liked the patch so much that he wanted to come work for our department, so I guess I'll take the credit for recruiting Aaron. So pinning Officer Aaron Luong tonight is going to be his wife, Crystal Perez. And last but not least, we have Officer Adrian Liao Juarez. Officer Adrian Liao Juarez was born in Glendale, California, and raised in the Lincoln Heights and Highland Park areas. Adrian comes from a humble upbringing and has always had a passion for law enforcement. Adrian started his law enforcement career as a cadet for the Pasadena City College Police Department, where he simultaneously attended California State University, LA, and graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree in criminal justice. From there, Adrian was hired by the Los Angeles Police Department and achieved his dream of becoming a police officer. He then lateraled back to the Pasadena City College Police Department as an officer. In 2022, he joined the Baker to Vegas relay team with us, which resulted in winning first place in the 99th Division. During this time, he got to know our people at our department and decided to apply with our agency. Adrian understands the responsibility and significance of what it means to be a police officer, especially for the city of San Gabriel. With Adrian's training, personal values, and work ethic, he's very happy to be part of the San Gabriel family and looks forward to serving our community. So on this one, as many of you know, Officer Steve Gaona is our team captain. He's been our team captain since 2016, and we had two first place wins, once in 2016 and 2022. So I'm gonna have to give this win to Officer Gaona for recruiting Adrian here today. I got to give him a win. So, pitting Officer Adrian Leal tonight is going to be his father, Sergio Leal Torres. Tricky when you have a needle on a badge. All right. Okay, if we could have all the officers line up here, and the chief city clerk will be swearing you in. If members of the city council could come down and take some photographs with our new officers. absolutely, yeah. And ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our presentation. It is an honor and privilege to be here tonight to introduce 4 of our young and robust police officers that's going to be serving the city of San Gabriel for hopefully many more years to come. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay. Okay, public comment?
This is the time set aside for members of the public to address the city council on items of interest that are not on the agenda but are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the San Gabriel City Council. If you wish to address the council, please fill out a speaker's card and hand it to the clerk. Mr. Mayor, we have no speaker cards.
Next item, please.
Consent calendar. All items listed under the consent calendar are considered routine, and recommendations will be approved in one motion unless a member of the city council or public requests separate discussion. We have not received requests from the public to pull any items.
I'd like to pull item H, please. Employment agreement, retired CalPERS Newton.
Okay, so let me repeat. Okay, would any council member would like to pull another item to separate discussion? So it's Council Member Chen want pull. So you want to pull out or you want to discuss?
I would like to pull out, pull out for discussion, separate discussion, item H.
Okay, separate discussion for the employment agreement with the retired CalPERS. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay,
Correct.
all right. Okay. So that's item H. So Council Member Wu.
Yes, Mayor, I would like to discuss, actually, I don't need to pull out, but I would like to discuss the item E, St. Gabriel City Safe Routes to Master Plan.
Okay, thank you. So, right now, just discuss, right? So do we have? Okay, so adopted them, but for the E and the H will be voted again, is that correct? So you accept the motion on the ones that were pulled, okay. Resolve it and then take each one in turn. Okay.
So I'll move all the items except for E and H.
And I'll second.
All right. Motion made by Vice Mayor Harrington and the second by Councilmember Manchak. Please vote.
Motion passes by a vote of 5-0.
Thank you. So this motion just pull out the item E and the H. Okay. Next, so. Okay, so. Okay, okay. Okay, so right now we just have the discussion, the question from item E, San Gabriel City Safe Routes to the San Gabriel Master Plan. So I think the Councilmember Wu have some question. Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. The question I have, I mean, who is able to answer the question? Maybe Mark?
Councilmember Wu, if you ask the question, either Director DeVink or I can answer, depending on what the question is.
Okay, this is great. Well, first of all, on this master plan, it shows the total cost for the SRTS, which is, let me see, which is the Safe Routes to School Plan. It shows the cost because it shows no impact, no financial impact to the city. But actually, the total cost here, it seems like been approved, which is $194,993, and that is the fund for the Caltrans. I just want to clarify because there's also 90,000 from the city of St. Gabriel. So is the total cost for this master plans itself is 194, or actually has to add up like 90,000 from the city? This is the first question. And the second question is about this report. On page 77, it shows this is a planning level cost estimate. So it's itemized that each schools will spend that, maybe the cost, this is just an estimate to improve or to correct, and to make sure that the route, that will be safe for the student and parents. But we have not received any funds yet. So is this for our staff to submit the plan to the maybe government entity, state and federal for the funding? And the last one I have is, do we have any metro fund? Because from the list here, from 78 to 83, 84, I don't really see metro funds here, but I believe there is some funds is from 710 Freeway Project. So can you just help to clarify? Thank you.
I would be happy to, Mayor and Council. And if Greg, he's coming up to answer question 2 and 3. Question 1, we could have been a little clearer in the fiscal impact. We think of no fiscal impact, meaning that there's no budget impact to the action you're taking tonight. But you're correct that there was a fiscal impact. It was approved back in, I think, 2017, 2018, something around that year. And the total cost was around $194,000, with the city having to contribute $90,000. Those can come, our match funds can come from many sources that are eligible for street and sidewalk improvements, not necessarily all from general fund, but that was already funded in the prior year's budget. So the action you're taking tonight to adopt or receive the plan does not have a fiscal impact. That's why that's stated that way. And Greg, if you don't mind handling the other 2 questions.
Hello, Mayor, Vice Mayors, members of the City Council. My name is Greg DeVink, the Public Works Director and City Engineer for the City of St. Gabriel, and I'll be addressing these questions. To continue on a little more with what the City Manager just elaborated on, is that 90,000 is in kind. So what we did actually is we had to contribute towards that report. So we did a GIS layer, we helped with some field surveys, some research on crash data. So what that 90,000 is mostly is engineering labor, where we track that cost, and that's an in-kind match. We didn't have to come up with money, but we did have to come up with the equivalent in city staff time. So that's the majority of it. The rest is a grant that we received and didn't have to pay out. So for this staff report, the city did not actually pay out any dollars towards it. The next question was, could you give me
The planning cost estimates that are listed on page 77.
towards the schools?
Towards each of the schools, correct.
So what this Safe Routes to School does for us is it better enables us to qualify for active transportation program grants and highway safety improvement grants. Highway is a little misleading. It does work for all our commercial streets, but when you submit projects for these grant applications, you actually are awarded bonus points if you have a Safe Routes to School program in place. Most cities do this, so to remain competitive, we also had to do this. The report does list a variety of recommended enhancements for crosswalks, bike racks, signage, things that add up. When you add up all of them, it's several $100,000 per school. I think even the high school might have broke $1 million. Those are potential projects that we will request funding towards, but it really has, other than this staff report tonight, we're just funding the report that better enables to qualify for future grants towards improvements that are listed and cost estimated. So that's why those are a lot more. Those are what we hope to get in the future. The next question was?
The last question was for funding sources that are
Oh,
listed
Metro.
and whether Metro is, and specifically the 710
Okay.
impact money.
For all the money we received with Metro, the way that worked is the city of San Gabriel submitted a list of requested projects. They approved a few of them, I believe 7. We already swapped one, and we are requesting a swap for money of another one, which will be part of the Public Works Update presentation next month. There were a lot of money, and 25 million in total, but they're very specific towards projects' predefined scopes. So, and they are pretty much, the qualifier for Metro to spend that is traffic capacity improvements. It really was to repurpose 710 money, which was a freeway extension, to alleviate traffic congestion and better throughput. So Metro, we went back and, for example, we asked for money for paving, and they said, no, that won't qualify. You need to expand capacity. So we're improving intersections, signals, putting in more lanes. We're going to connect them through fiber. We're updating our cabinets, things that will improve traffic capacity. The Safe Routes to School is much more pedestrian safety based, and these other 2 grants that I mentioned earlier are more focused on pedestrian safety enhancements. So the Metro additional money that you're talking about for 710 is kind of predefined where we can use it. It's not really applicable to the list of school area projects we have here.
Thank you, Greg. If you don't mind, I
Sure.
have one more question. So if once we adopt the master plan tonight, then our staff will submit the plan and to the federal and state and request or apply for the grant. Usually, how long will it take? And the plan, if we have initiated from, you said 2017, 2018, so how about if the cost will be increased during the year? I mean, today's cost for the construction will be higher than 5 years ago. Then if we are having another grants application, if that will be more than a couple of years, does that mean we probably get the grants and we won't be able to pay the entire construction because the gap between the estimated today or a few years ago to the grant that we apply and receive in the future?
It does not work quite that way. The grants we apply for have annual allocations of money, and the active transportation program is not a grant we take advantage of very frequently. We generally don't even find projects that will qualify. It's been maybe about 8-9 years since we've even gotten that grant the last time. The Highway Safety Improvement Program grants we get regularly. We have 2. One we just finished, which was an improvement at Roses and San Gabriel, a new overhead flashing beacon to enhance crosswalk safety. And the other construction that you may see on Las Tunas with the signal improvements, that's also this grant. It does put in ADA ramps. It does put in new pedestrian elements into the signal crossings. So those projects we can qualify for every year. Our cost allowance in that report is today's dollars of things we're interested in getting someday. As grants are released through the state, we'll apply with updated cost estimates and be awarded. It's going to remain competitive. So the state puts out large sums of money, many millions of dollars, and we just apply for what we hope to get. And this report helps us qualify a higher score, gets us a little better ranked in getting those. But as we apply, we will adjust future dollars, even add contingency money in our grant requests. So this big list today of many millions of dollars for all these schools. That's not how it works. We'll pick little projects and apply as funds are released and try and get some.
So how long that we may expect the whole completion of the whole, what is been indicated in the master plan?
The unfortunate answer is probably never. When you do master plans, you list a whole scope of everything in the world you might want, and we do. We put it all in here. But it's pretty unusual to actually achieve everything. Some of these things were probably in the last report from a decade ago. Also, things evolve over time, technology changes. The rapid flashing beacons at our last report didn't exist. We wanted something different. Priorities change, even schools open and close. So things will shift. It takes many, many years to make a good dent in this. Another thing Public Works is doing is probably some of these projects we might do with in-house staff, get them done much cheaper. I even did request that we look into funding just materials for our staff to go out and do. It's very affordable to go buy some of these elements, and we'll just put them in. So it does change. I don't like saying, all of it's never going to happen, but reality is, that's my guess, is all of it's never going to happen. Things will evolve over time. Our priorities will change. We'll get things done in-house. Money will run short at the state level. There'll be a new report before all of these things are implemented. But it's the direction we want to go. There are things that are, I think, sensible and reasonable to pursue, but we just don't get everything.
Thank you, Greg. I have no more questions.
Anybody else?
So is it any, no more question? Not this.
Not on this item.
So I would like to move to approve.
I'll second.
For the consent calendar, item E, and make a motion by the Councilmember Wu and a second by Councilmember Manchaga. No, please count the vote.
Motion passes by a vote of 5-0.
Thank you. And next item is consent calendar, the number H, employment agreement with the retired care person, annuitant for the extra help at division chief rank. Councilmember Chan.
Yeah, it's not real complicated. It's just kind of, I need a little clarification just so I understand the legality. This is probably a question for our city attorney. I just noticed that item H, it comes with a resolution, and 1, 2, 3, 4. The fifth whereas in the resolution says that this item does not come under consent calendar. So I just wanted to make sure that I understand and we do this correctly, that if we need to take a separate vote on this.
Give me a sec, I'm pulling up the,
Sure, take your time.
which one was it?
It's the fifth whereas. Yeah, page 4 in the. Of item 4H.
Yeah, I do see the section.
So,
I'm not sure exactly why it's on there.
okay.
However, seeing as how you've now pulled this off the consent calendar, I guess we're covered either way.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I understood how it works and that we do it correctly.
There is a provision that certain employee contracts have to be, there was a change made where certain employee contracts for executives have to be not approved on the consent calendar. I'd have to look and see why we're applying it to this particular position.
Okay, yeah, anyway, I just wanted to make sure so that we do it correctly, and since we are pulling it separately, then I'm fine with that, unless anyone else has any questions. So, yeah, if no one else has any questions, I'd like to move to approve item H.
I'll second.
Thank you.
So for the consecutive item H, it's make motion by Councilmember Chen and the second by Councilmember Manchak. Please vote.
Motion passes by a vote of 5-0.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Public hearing item A, introduction and first reading of ordinance number 687, amending chapter 153 of the San Gabriel Municipal Code relating to nonconforming uses, structures, and lots, ZTA 22-001.
I now open the public hearing. The staff presentation will be made by Planning Manager Samantha Twister.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. The item before you this evening is Zone Text Amendment ZTA 22-001. So the purpose of this zone text amendment is to review Title 15 Land Use, Chapter 153 Zoning, specifically Ordinance number 393-CS. And according to Ordinance 393-CS, which was adopted in May of 1993, nonconforming uses and structures are to terminate 30 years from the effective date of the ordinance, unless the City Council sets a different time for termination. The 30 years from the adopted date would be 2023, which is this year, meaning that the termination period will be effective and enforceable. And so the code defines the following terms: a nonconforming structure as any building or structure which was lawfully constructed, but by reason of any subsequently adopted ordinance or regulation currently does not conform to the current code. And similarly, nonconforming uses is any use which was lawfully established, but due to subsequently adopted ordinance and regulations also do not conform to current code. So there are several types of nonconformities, including nonconforming uses in a conforming structure, nonconforming use in a nonconforming structure, nonconforming residential structure in any residential zone, non-residential structure in any residential zone, non-conforming structure in a non-residential zone, and non-conforming structure in any zone. And the underline represents the subsections that apply this evening to the proposed zone text amendment. So the current process for any property, a non-conforming use or structure that has been identified, upon receiving notification from the city of a terminated use or structure, a property owner can either comply and alter a property or a use so that it complies with current zone, or file an appeal on why the termination should not be made effective, or file a variance application. And a variance application, without getting too much into the details, the required findings must be made, such as special circumstances to the property that does not constitute a granting of a special privilege to the property or to the use. And so on September 12th of 2022, this information and options related to a potential code update and amendments to Ordinance 393-CS was presented to the Planning Commission to provide comments. And options were presented to the Planning Commission to consider, including 1, enforcing the existing termination period, 2, removing the termination period, 3, specifying a new termination time, or 4, adding text to allow the Planning Commission to extend the termination on a case-by-case basis. The Planning Commission commented that the enforcement of the current termination period may be infeasible due to the number of cases that may potentially arise, and expressed concerns about the potential financial implications to residential and commercial property owners. The commission also requested additional information be provided as to the history of the ordinance and also information from neighboring cities. And then on November 14th of 2022, the draft amendment, which is before the City Council this evening, was presented to the Planning Commission for consideration and for discussion. The history, ordinances, and minutes from 92 and 93 are attached to the staff report. And also information was provided regarding the survey that staff conducted of 8 neighboring cities. And of the 8, 6 do not have amortization periods. The Planning Commission, following discussion, agreed to recommend that the City Council adopt the proposed ordinance with a 5-0 vote. So the proposed amendment that is before the City Council this evening, the strike-through represents the proposed deletion, and again, it applies to 3 subsections under 153.421, again, for non-conforming uses in a conforming structure. And second, non-conforming use in a non-conforming structure, and the proposed deletion includes deleting the termination period of 30 years. And the third section applies to non-conforming structures in a non-residential zone. So the recommendation before the City Council this evening is to conduct a public hearing, discuss the proposed ordinance, attached number 687, motion to waive full reading and to introduce the ordinance by title only, and that is an ordinance of the City Council of the City of San Gabriel, California, amending Chapter 153 of the San Gabriel Municipal Code related to amortization periods for non-conforming uses and structures, and to motion to waive future reading of the ordinance and to schedule the second reading and adoption of the ordinance for the next regular City Council meeting. And the ordinance would then become effective 30 days after adoption. And this concludes staff's presentation. Staff's available for question.
Thank you. Does any council member have the technical and factual question for the staff to clarify the report? Councilmember Wu.
Thank you, Mayor Ting, and thank you, Samantha, for the introductions. Just to verify that the non-conforming structure, for example, if a warehouse that time was built without fire sprinkler, and any same site like kind property will require fire sprinkler today. So that is we call non-conforming use, that they are able to continue to use that property without installing or the new fire sprinkler, but they still able to use that. And that shows if the property that's been discontinued or maybe vacant for 120 consecutive days or more, then you have to bring that to the current code. Is that?
That is correct. As long as a use is not intensified or expanded, then the use can continue in the existing structure.
So if they modify the building, they enlarge or they add more units there, then they have to bring everything, including the current house or property, to the current code.
That's correct.
And for the non-conforming use, if I use that correctly, that a restaurant, they may not require that many parking space. But today, because the high density that we probably we have high requirements on parking. So the old timer that own a restaurant, they are still able to run a business with a very limited parking. But if they are running out of business or they just discontinue, the next person who will like to run the same business, like a restaurant, but the gap has more than 120 days, they are not eligible to use that space as a restaurant again because it's already over the limit time. Is that correct?
Yes and no. So the use can be continued as long as parking can be provided for that use.
Okay, so even the parking requirements is higher. That maybe a long time ago it's only like every 500 square feet needs one parking space, and now maybe 1,000 square feet, then you need at least one. I don't know what is the number right now, So they don't have to follow that. They don't have to, I mean, they still can continue to use that space as restaurant?
After the 120 days, then as long as parking can be provided for the use, then the use can be on the site.
Got it, okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So, Chief City Clerk, do we have any public comments?
Mr. Mayor, I have no speaker cards. Is there anyone wishing to address council?
Okay. So I now close the public hearing. It is now time to council deliberation and discussion. Who would like to start it? If no question, so,
If there's no further questions or deliberations, I'll move to approve the staff recommendations.
I'll second.
okay. The motion made by Councilmember Menchaca and second by the Vice Mayor Harrington. Please vote.
Motion passes by a vote of 5-0.
Next item, please.
We have no continued business this evening. The next item is new business item A, City Council Reorganization Timing Discussion, and I will make that presentation for you. So, Mr. Mayor and council members, in September 2021, when the City of San Gabriel changed the date of its general municipal elections to November of even-numbered years to coincide with the statewide general elections, it subsequently adopted a resolution in order to align the timing of reorganization in non-election years. That resolution provides that in non-election years, the City Council reorganization will take place at the City Council's first regular meeting in the month of December, or at a special meeting held no later than December 31st of the same year. At the December 20, 2022 regular City Council meeting, the City Council took action to continue with the then-current mayor and vice mayor until March 2023, pending a discussion on options for the timing of council reorganization in non-election years. Pursuant to City Council direction, staff has prepared 3 options for the City Council's consideration. Option 1 would be reorganization every 9.5 months. The advantage would allow for each council member to have a turn as mayor during their 4-year term. The disadvantage is that the State of the City address is currently a review of accomplishments over a period of 1 year. With a reporting period shorter than the fiscal year the city operates on, this option may find some mayors reporting on notable accomplishments and other on minimal accomplishments. In addition, council members provide city representation on intergovernmental bodies, some of which require that the mayor be the representative. A shortened term for the mayoral representative would negatively affect continuity and influence on these regional decision-making bodies. For these reasons, staff does not recommend this option. Option 2 would be reorganization in March of non-election years. The advantage is that it would allow for a full-year term for the next and subsequent mayors and vice mayors. The disadvantage is that an extra agenda item would be required to extend terms in non-election years. And option 3 would be no change. Reorganization in non-election years would remain as currently scheduled for the first regular meeting in December or a special meeting no later than December 31st. The advantage is that mayoral and vice mayoral terms would remain consistent between election and non-election years and remain consistent for representation to outside agencies. The disadvantage is that the next mayor and vice mayor would have terms shortened by 3 months. Regardless of the option chosen, action regarding reorganization must be taken in March of 2023, and staff would bring that back for your attention. As far as fiscal impact, option 1 would have minimal increases due to celebratory expenses. Options 2 and 3 would have no fiscal impact. That concludes the presentation. Can answer questions.
Does any council member have the factual question for the staff to clarify the report? Okay, Vice Mayor Harrington.
Thank you, Mayor. So Sharon, I just want to confirm, option 2 would always have the reorganizations in March. Is that correct or not correct?
Only on non-election years.
In election years, it's going to be in December?
The code provides that when we seat new members that are newly elected, that the council reorganization has to take place at that meeting. So with the county's timeline, it's most likely going to be in December because of the time it takes them to finalize the election. So it's always going to be in election years in December or whatever that meeting is where council adopts the result.
But that's simply caused because of the election.
Right.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Any member have? Okay.
And Vice Mayor, I will mention that as we did at this last election, we have to address reorganization, but in this case, the council decided to go ahead and extend those terms.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Okay. Chief City Clerk, do we have any public comments?
I have no speaker cards. Does anyone wish to address council? No comments, Mayor.
Okay. So now it's for the council discussion. Who would be like to start it? Vice
You can
Mayor,
continue on.
Okay.
Vice Mayor Harrington.
To me, after talking to Mark and just thinking about this, I prefer reorganizing in March, and then as we're mandated to, I think it makes sense to kind of just mimic what we did this time, and regardless of what happens in the election, just go March to March to March, and when we reorganize, it's kind of whoever's mayor in December or whenever it happens, it just continues as mayor. It's kind of like we've always done in the past, we've rotated just on a collegial agreement. So if we can do the same thing, saying we'll continue in March, and then whoever's in an election year, if they are still on council in December, they'll maintain the mayorship and vice mayor, and we'll reorganize in March. The reason I think that's good, in my opinion, is because you're separating the reorganization away from the election. Because if you don't do that, there is a potential, let's say, currently, there's a 3-person election, and then it happens to be the mayor and vice mayor are not up for election. You get 3 new council members, 3 brand new people. Are we going to leave one of those people switch from mayor to vice mayor, or are we going to put someone brand new right into vice mayor? And let's say the very first next meeting, the mayor's gone, someone that's never been to a council meeting as a council member is running the council meeting. That's an actual scenario that can happen. I think it kind of makes sense. Let's say you get elected in December, or you're seated in December, at least you've attended a few months of meetings before you're put into a leadership of the council position. So I kind of like the idea of just keeping it every single March. That's my opinion.
So you want the March?
Yeah, it adds the December, because every election year, every other year, we're going to have to do a reorganization by law, but we can just have a collegial agreement that whoever's mayor remains mayor as long as they're reelected. Or even if they're not up for election, they just remain, and whoever's vice would remain. If they happen to get removed or don't run or whatever, then we can take care of that in December as it happens. And
So-
that would continue till March.
Okay. All right. So Councilmember Menchaca.
Well, I prefer December, but as long as we don't do the first option. The first option is completely nonsense. I've talked to enough cities, and they wish they could change it, but they can't. Typically, it's done for districts. The reason I like December more is because it is in sync with the election. I was just doing, I look at this as like a math problem. So I'm going to use you, Vice Mayor. So let's say next March, we rotate because, you've served your full year, both the mayor and the vice mayor, so it's time to rotate. Assuming the vice mayor becomes mayor in March, then the March to December of this year would be shortened. That's the only negative. But on the positive side is the last 3 of us who just got elected, we will all have a term as mayor, a full term. It would just be the March through December that would be shortened. And I was just doing the math here. If we do, again, vice mayor becomes mayor in March, next month, then we do March to March, then the 3rd person who could be, Wu, Menchaca, or Chan, one of us, is going to be short a year, because it would be from March to November, so either they don't run again, or they, pardon? Oh, I'm sorry. You know, it'll be shortened in some way, so if the person decides, a third person, whoever that is, you know, doesn't run again or doesn't get elected, then we have that situation that the vice mayor mentioned. So I just feel like everyone, you know, I really feel strongly that everyone should have a term being mayor. I just feel like with the March one, that third person is going to get shortened unless they get reelected or they want to run again. I like December because, again, it's in the same cycle as our election. And we don't have to keep going back and forth between March and December, regardless of election year or non-election year. But as long as it's not number one, I'm open to 2 or 3.
Sorry, I needed, I myself wanted a health break. Okay, 5 minutes. All right. Yeah, okay. 4 days is for the allergies, so for, okay. 5 minutes, so we just, like come back, maybe 7:35, okay? So we assess the meeting, okay. So next, who council member will have the discussion? So, Councilmember Chen.
Okay, well, you know, I tend to favor the second option, doing the thing where we go March to March, because I agree with Councilman Harrington that it would be beneficial for, in case someone new came on in November or December, and to not have a situation where they end up being a mayor or vice mayor right away. I was going to ask Councilwoman Menchaca, so walk me through that again. Even with, you favor option 3, correct? Now, even with option 3, it doesn't necessarily mean everyone still has a turn at mayor during their.
Yes, they do. Yeah, so we would all have a turn. Again, I'm presuming the vice mayor would be our next mayor. So his term would be the only one that would be shortened, because it would be from March to December. But the remaining, the 3 of us, because we're next, we would be able to have a full term as mayor.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, get December to December.
Would not be future council.
That doesn't apply to future councils, because potentially with the same rotation, you could still get elected and never be mayor. That can happen, and it has happened in the past.
Yeah, because you're still 5 people, and for 4 years, so the math, I mean.
Well, the way I look at it, the 2 new people, whoever those 2 new people would be, whether it's the existing 2 or not, they would be next. So let's say December of 2026, well, that's when we would run again, but it would start all over again. So, after December 2026, it would be, let's just assume the mayor would be the following year, and then the vice mayor would be after that. So, it does work, the way, I'm looking at it.
It works for these 5 people, but for future councils, it may not. It wouldn't make a difference because
It always worked for March. We've always had it in March, and there was always a rotation there and everything.
there's been one council member I know of that never got to be mayor before they were voted
Well,
out.
I'm thinking of that council member, I know who you're talking about, but I thought he opted to do it after the election because he thought he was going to get it anyway, and ended up not getting it.
I don't know how that went, but I'm just saying it's possible with 4 people in a 5-year cycle, or 5 people in a 4-year cycle to not get it.
Right, just mathematically. But,
The thing is, I'm thinking is if a person gets a short term, it's because they either decided to have that short term, or the people didn't want them for the longer term. They would keep it if they get reelected, if they run and get reelected. So it's a choice either way, either the people's choice or the candidate's choice, or the incumbent's choice.
Councilmember Wu?
Well, thank you. Well, I think based on the experience I had, I think I would favor the March to March. The reason is, even though we have elections, we had that on November 8th, and we didn't get the result until December 5th. And the first council meeting for December will be, actually, there was a December 6th. So that is no possible that we can, without a confirmation, a final result, there's no way that can be conducting like a reorganization of the city. And then the next council meeting will be like 2 weeks from that day. And that will be like very close to the December. So I feel that, then it shows that we have to, we will get the reorganizations no later than December 31st. So I personally think that December is not a good month for that reason, especially during the election. So I will prefer to have option 2. Thank you.
Okay, so I just want to clarify, also not just clarify discussion, it's regarding the option 2 and the option 3, the difference. But option 2, if like Vice Mayor say it's because of the option 3 have to happen, need maybe they don't have experience for the mayor, but option 2 also have something happen. It's on another city, and she just got elected because the opponent is mayor, and when she got on board, it's immediately become the mayor. Don't have experience too.
Sorry to interrupt. I know what you're talking about,
Yeah.
but that's different because they're on this 9.5 months, and they're divided by districts. So because she was able to unseat him, she had to finish that term, his term, because she's now representing that district.
Oh,
That's why that happened.
Okay, that's okay. Okay, okay. We're in large. Okay. So another question, like based on the city clerk say, that no matter we got an election year, we still need to reorganize on the December, no matter we in the March or December.
It has to be
Is that correct?
to take action to
Take
reorganize.
action. Okay.
We don't actually have to switch seats, like, we don't have to unseat the mayor and put someone else there.
Okay.
Theoretically, we could have the same mayor
Okay.
for years and years and years if we decided to.
Okay.
If they're so great and we all love them so much.
Yeah, I know. I know that some cities, that this mayor, he's really proud. I will see him. He say he continued with the mayor the 4 years.
Was he elected to mayor, or is it a rotation?
Their rotation too.
Well,
It's
that says a lot
consistent,
about
yeah,
their colleagues, that's all I have to say.
That's interesting too. Okay, there's a lot of the different scenario when I go to the council conference. So it's me the way sometimes discuss all that. It's really help to us to for tonight the discussion. So if like all the December we still need to recertify or reorganize, right? So no matter we're in the March or December, is that correct?
The code reads that the members must choose a mayor and vice mayor. It doesn't-
Still need to choose the
As
mayor,
Vice Mayor
might
Harrington
say.
said, it doesn't say you have to choose a different person.
Okay,
You do have to take affirmative action to
okay.
make that decision.
So same to the last year, December, the way that the choose say extend to the mayor and the vice mayor, that the term extend to the March, yeah?
Yeah, so just in those mechanics, we have to certify the election, and then we have to reorganize. Reorganizing doesn't mean we have to change seats, it's just like, we don't have to give a different mayor. It just means we have to file a resolution. saying,
Okay,
Here's the mayor, here's the vice mayor, here's the new
Yeah.
council members, if any, or here's the
okay,
council after the election.
We can always keep pushing it to March like we did this last December,
okay.
just
So-
an extra mechanics.
But another thing I want to clarify, like Councilmember Wu regarding say that December maybe don't have any election result. Is that correct? And usually they within 1 month they should have the result, right?
The county has to certify the results of the election within 28 days of the election.
So
Where it
usually-
changes is that it depends where they certify and where our next council meeting is. We always call a special meeting for the results.
Okay, all right, okay. If like this, so if we don't still keep our traditional, so probably I go to the number 2.
I agree.
Okay, so we need a motion? No, don't need a motion, right? Just on a direction, right? Okay, should we don't need a vote too, right?
We will, Mayor, we don't need a motion tonight because in March, when we do the reorganization, we will bring back a resolution that calls for the mayor to be reorganized in March.
Okay, so next item, please.
This is the second public comment period. Is anyone wishing to address council? No comments, Mayor.
Okay, city manager report?
Mayor, I just wanted to let the council and the community know that we have been approached by a Eucharistic group that is having a mass in March. I think it's March the 15th at the Mission, and they're going to be doing, after this Mass, they're going to be doing a walk from our Mission to Temple City and walk along Broadway. The majority of the walk is along Broadway. And in order to ensure their safety, we're going to provide rolling street closures for them. They're going to have about 3,000 people walking, and we think it's safer to have them walk through intersections that are temporarily closed. So we will be letting the public know before that happens so they can avoid Broadway that morning. And then they're going to go to Mass, believe it or not, in Temple City. And then after that Mass in Temple City, they will head back to the Mission for a celebration. So we will be making sure they get back and forth as safely as possible. They're walking both ways.
Is that a,
March 15th? Okay.
is that an open event? Can I come too?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Exercise, right?
Support
from
our fellow cities.
The city manager have the time? It's early morning or,
Yeah, how early?
I'm sorry, it's March 25th.
okay, 25th, okay.
For clarifying that, it's March 25th.
Mm.
They will have, let me pull up the schedule here.
Mhm.
Okay, so 9:30, they will have Mass at the Mission here and gather. They will then head to St. Luke, which is just past the border in Temple City. They will have an assembly there, and then they will come back to San Gabriel. It intends for the whole thing to be about 4 hours, so basically 9:30 to 1:30. But nothing will be closed permanently. It'll only be where they're going through those intersections.
Okay.
Mark, can that be sent to the full council by Nancy with some information?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Are coordinating with Temple City to make sure that we have coordination for that event.
Okay,
Thank you, Mayor.
thank you, Mark. Okay, and the council comments and the conference meeting report?
I'll start. Just a couple events that I attended on February 8th. Mayor Ding and Councilman Wu and I all attended the groundbreaking for Pacific Plaza Premier, the real estate project on San Gabriel Boulevard, the nursery. It was a very nice event. It was 710 South San Gabriel Boulevard, for anybody who needs to know, just a reminder. Yeah, it was a very nice event. They had lion dancers, and it was very well attended. A lot of the community came out to support, and I heard that even though this is the groundbreaking, it's still going to take about 4 years to complete the project, but it's looking good, and we're optimistic. That is the first thing. The next thing is February 9th. I attended an event for the Rosemead Chamber of Commerce, their Lunar New Year dinner celebration. It was very nice, and it's always good for the our different city neighbors to get together. Let's see. On February 15th, I attended an older adult resource fair in Sierra Madre, the Sierra Madre Women's Club, hosted by an organization called Pasadena Village. They're a senior citizens community group, so they had a nice turnout, and yeah, so that's been my activities recently. I yield my time.
Thank you, Councilmember Chin. And who's next? Councilmember Wu.
Okay. Well, on February 9th, I attended the second annual art exhibitions, which is organized by the SEF, San Gabriel Educational Foundation. I'm very delighted to see that those young children, they're getting so creative. And one of the first place winner, the artwork has been printed and also is displayed in our Mission District. And on February 16, I attended the West Covina 100 anniversary celebration. I met the mayor, DAs, and also the council member and several of city's elected official also attended this event. It was a really nice one. On February 14, I have attended the 411 with the chief that hosted by the chief Nakamura, and both chief and Greg were so helpful to answer the question from our residents, those who really care about our city. I really appreciate the event because it makes the law enforcement and public works information are very accessible to our community. And the next session of 411 with the chief will be taking place on March 14. Last one, I think Susan Rubio, senator, that we have attended her swearing, the community swearing ceremony in Laverne University on February 18. So Mayor Dean and Councilmember Machanga we were together to celebrate. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Wu. Okay, Councilmember Minchak.
Yeah, mine's very short. I just wanted to also mention Senator Rubio. She's still our senator. She kept us, I guess. But after her, in 2 years, then we're going to be taken, or it's going to go to Senator Portantino, who has termed out. So we'll have a new senator. But for now, it's Senator Rubio. So she was very happy to see San Gabriel represented. Her first installation was actually at the Mission Playhouse. And then, so this is her second time being, she just got reelected. And then just a reminder to everyone, Blossom Market Hall, upstairs, the community room, they have, in celebration or recognition of Black History Month, they have some artwork there. So please take a look. It's being sponsored by our Commissioner Chairperson, Dr. Jennings, Dr. Chastity Jennings Nunez, or Nunez Jennings, I forget. Anyway, she's got two names. But just a reminder to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Menchaca. So, Vice Mayor Herndon? Okay, all right. So it's my report, it's try short. I think the rest of the council members already reported that I attended the event. And actually, every week I have the several weekend, it's more busy. Most, even last night, it's last Saturday or Sunday, it's each day like 3 different organizations, the celebration. But I just want to mention, it's on a Sunday, have City Arcadia. They are one organization. They do the like Memorial Council is for the Memorial Park and Half Moon Bay, the mass shooting, and they like want to even after 1 month later, they still want a memorial to remind the people to very carefully, especially for the we need the mental health to help them, and the music also the one kind of mental health to help the people. So we don't want to hate, right? Even elder people. So it's really like for our city, I think we need to cooperate with the county or state to continue to have this kind of resource because our city probably not enough for the professional. We need contact and also by the community, their organization to help to do that too. So we continue to see it, and it's our neighborhood city, but we need to use wellness and a proactive to see. We don't want these kind of things happen for our community. So it's a really good council. So the music council. So I attended. It's really meaningful, and Senator Rubio and Assembly Microphone attended this kind of this council too. Yeah, and our several the neighborhood city to attend it. So that's my report, and the closing section is no. And the next regular city council meeting will be held on Tuesday, March 7, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. and meeting adjourned at 7:57 p.m.